From Recorded Future News and PRX, this is Click Here. Hey, it's Dina. The Click Here team is taking a short summer breather. Today, we're returning to a conversation with Dr. Xenakis, a psychiatrist, a military man, and an early believer in using psychedelics to heal trauma. And his latest frontier? Artificial intelligence. He's asking whether an algorithm might do what some clinicians cannot: see the patient beyond the pattern. Take a listen.
I'm a psychiatrist, spent 28 years in the Army. I came in 1970, retired in 1998 as a brigadier general, working with military families and veterans, and do a lot of public health activity as well.
You know what you forgot? Your name.
I'm Stephen Xenakis.
From Recorded Future News, this is Click Here's Mic Drop, a longer cut of one of our favorite interviews of the week. I'm Dina Temple-Raston. So when you think of a psychiatrist, you probably have a picture in your head. Calm demeanor, notebook, pen, maybe sitting across from a patient who's stretched out on a chaise lounge, nodding, taking notes. Classic Freudian stuff. But Dr. Stephen Xenakis is not exactly that kind of psychiatrist. For starters, he's a retired brigadier general in the Army, so he deals with a different kind of patient. He's worked with detainees at Guantanamo Bay. He's advised top military officials on the impact of blast wave concussions. And he's the kind of psychiatrist who is not afraid to go against the grain and try new things. For example, he's a big proponent of psychedelic therapy for PTSD, something that for a long time was considered kind of out there. And more recently, he's been thinking about this other thing he'd like to try to incorporate into his practice.
I've been for years thinking that we needed to use these AI tools in identifying patients who would best respond to particular treatments.
Stay with us. Support for Click Here comes from Quince. With summer in full swing, I feel that familiar urge to refresh my closet, but I'm not trying to waste money on pieces I'd only wear once, or maybe just for a season. That's where Quince comes in. Their clothes are timeless, and the quality is way beyond what you'd expect for the price. Think 100% European linen tops starting at $30, washable silk dresses and skirts, and soft cotton sweaters. I have a pair of their suede mules. They're water repellent, look really expensive but aren't, and the insole is incredibly comfortable from the moment you put them on. They're the perfect slip-ons for the summer. Give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/clickhere for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/clickhere to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/clickhere. I'm Dina Temple-Raston, and this is Click Here's Mic Drop. Stephen Xenakis often spends the day navigating the fragile terrain of the human mind. His patients include veterans, men and women who have seen war up close and have lived through things most people never even have to imagine. Now these veterans are home, but home isn't always a place you can simply return to, and they're struggling. Maybe they can't sleep, maybe their nerves are on edge, their thoughts racing. So they come to see him. And like most psychiatrists, Xenakis listens. He diagnoses. He prescribes medication when needed. He helps his patients develop coping strategies. Now, psychiatry has always been part science, part detective work, and part deep human connection. And these days, Xenakis is starting to explore how AI might be used as a way to sort of amplify his expertise, to help him diagnose and personalize treatment. Can you give me a hypothetical of how it would work?
Well, the hypothetical would be, and we have tested this out, is that a patient comes in, let's say a veteran, and we know that these veterans have multiple problems. They've got PTSD, many have been exposed to trauma, and they have traumatic brain injury. They have had other injuries, so they've got chronic pain. They may have sleep problems. They may have been exposed to medications that have also made them feel more anxious or caused thinking problems. And they come in for an interview and they say, look, I need some help here.
So, how do you figure out what this person needs? The traditional response was use a questionnaire, fill in some bubbles, rate your mood on a scale of 1 to 10, things like that. But Dr. Xenakis says no, that's just not enough.
We're getting away from questionnaires. That's what I'm trying not to do. I think questionnaires, excuse me, I think are too crude. That's standard in the field, but I don't think they get the kind of nuance, subtleties that we get just from an interview.
What Dr. Xenakis would do instead of multiple choice questions is a more open-ended kind of interview with the patient.
It would just be a raw interview that could be uploaded and compared to what we think is our reference interview or our sentinel, and how close is the correspondence. And because of the way these large language models work, they're able to find key words and nests of words that show what the correlation is. So this goes way beyond, it's quantum leaps beyond a questionnaire.
So this is the idea. Not just forms, not just checklists, but something closer to the way real conversations work. And then AI would help doctors scan those conversations and pick up on things that might otherwise get missed. Maybe just some nuance that got lost in the shuffle of a long conversation. Or it could be something that a psychiatrist just doesn't have expertise in, but the AI has been programmed to understand. Dr. Xenakis says his interviews with patients would be structured in a way to actually help the AI. So would there be set questions so that you could compare apples and apples?
Just a good clinical interview. I mean, I think good clinical interviews have set questions. I mean, what is the problem? How serious is it? How long have you had it? You know, what other problems do you have like this? I mean, what's the history? Have you had? I mean, it's just a good clinical interview.
Right. Are you sleeping? Which is usually a pretty good one.
Yeah, exactly.
To tell something's off. I see. Pairing these kinds of structured interviews with AI, he says, could take the doctor-patient relationship out of multiple choice and into something he thinks would be, well, deeper. Which raises the question, could technology, something that feels cold and impersonal, actually help make mental health care more human? And do we even want it to? Stay with us.
In cybersecurity, your greatest fear isn't the threats you see, it's the critical signals lost in the noise. Every day, security teams sort through millions of potential threats. That's why Recorded Future exists, to give you precision intelligence tuned to your needs. Our advanced AI detects patterns humans might miss, while our threat intelligence experts, veterans of military and intelligence services, provide crucial context. With Recorded Future, you gain the confidence to identify critical threats and the precision to act before they become attacks. Learn why 1,900-plus customers, including 45-plus sovereign governments, trust us to detect threats faster and achieve 350% plus ROI within a year.
So imagine you're a psychiatrist in a small town, maybe in Wyoming or maybe Alaska. You've got veterans coming into your office, and some are struggling with PTSD. others with pain that just won't go away. And they need your help, but you don't have a huge team. Instead, you have a backlog of patients and not a lot of resources to go around. What Dr. Xenakis hopes AI can do is give doctors access to something that could both extend their expertise and make the treatment process more efficient. By connecting doctors to a system that could take every interview, every conversation they've had, and compare it to thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of other conversations. Are there particular places where you think this would be particularly helpful?
Look, I think it'd be particularly helpful outside of our urban areas, places where we don't have a good number of mental health people, and yet we have a number of patients that are really seeking help.
In the military, there's a term for this kind of thing. It's called a force multiplier. A force multiplier is anything, a weapon or a tool, that lets soldiers do more than they could do on their own. It essentially amplifies their abilities. And Dr. Xenakis, he says AI could be a force multiplier for doctors.
I know that there are many therapists out there that are in communities and may not have had a lot of experience.
And the numbers are kind of shocking. In states like Alaska and Wyoming, veterans make up at least 10% of the population. But the number of psychiatrists in these states, well, for the roughly 1.3 million people, there are less than 200 registered psychiatrists in both Alaska and Wyoming combined. Psychiatrists in rural areas are strapped not just for resources, but for patient data to refer to. But a large language model could essentially expand the amount of patient data they can draw from to help guide their patient care. And then what they would be able to do is with a large language model, it would be compared with thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of other patients so that you'd be using all that knowledge to come up with a solution.
Yeah, exactly. And then it would learn over time. So we would be able to feed that back. The more we do that, the more we learn. And we say that, for example, a patient's prescribed a particular medication that we think would help with sleep. Well, as we look at that and look at those patients who were prescribed and look at their interviews, we can get a better idea of who would be a responder. And that's really important.
Right, so that they don't take a pill that doesn't end up helping their problem.
Yes, right.
Because even with a great interview, even with the best doctors, no one gets everything right. But maybe with enough data, they could get closer. So let's be honest. Anyone who's ever gone to a doctor has probably fudged a thing or two. You say you exercise a few times a week, but really, was it twice? Once? Not at all? You tell your doctor you sleep okay, but if they asked you how many hours, how much was deep sleep versus light sleep, you wouldn't really know. Xenakis knows this. He knows that some of the information he gets from his patients isn't exactly, well, precise.
It's really hard to get good information from your patients about how well they slept or really did they exercise. Not that any of this intentionally being misrepresented or, that they're not intentionally not disclosing to us. I mean, how well did you sleep? I don't know.
But now, we don't have to guess about some of those things because we have wearables. So think about something like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. It tracks your heart rate, it knows how many steps you take, it even knows, down to the minute, how much deep sleep you got last night. And when doctors have access to that kind of data, it changes the game.
So let's look at that, and then let's look at what you did, or let's look at your diet. And the more we have that, and we can look at it together, the better decisions we can make, and then we can decide what treatments might work best with you as we think about either medicines or activities or cognitive behavior therapy.
Because mental health isn't one size fits all. What works for one person might not work for another. But AI, these wearable devices, and the technology being developed now, Dr. Xenakis says this is a real turning point, a way to customize treatment better and get past the guesswork. So I just got a new Apple Watch.
Uh-huh.
And so I have it tracking my sleep because I was interested. I'm not really interested in all the exercise stuff and heart rate and all that other stuff. But I'm finding myself being quite obsessed with how much deep sleep versus core sleep versus REM sleep, how much I'm awake. And it is, as you say, something I would never be able to tell a doctor. I could just say, okay, I feel pretty rested, I guess.
Right.
But this is showing me just how much it is.
Yeah. And I think it's very, I mean, I know that people can get obsessed with it, but I think it's really helpful. I use it a lot with my patients.
Using technology in psychiatry, it sounds futuristic, maybe even revolutionary. The rub is that psychiatry isn't an equation. It isn't about solving for X. It's about people, and people can be messy. And then there's this bigger question. Is this what we really want? Sure, AI has its place. It can help with paperwork, maybe spot early warning signs. But psychiatry isn't just science. It's an art. And AI isn't an artist. At least not yet. From Recorded Future News, this has been Click Here's Mic Drop. It was written and produced by Megan Dietrich, Sean Powers, Erica Gaida, Zach Hirsch, Lucas Riley, and me, Dina Temple-Raston. It was edited by Karen Duffin. We'll be back on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.
If you're looking for a daily guide to cybersecurity news and policy, sign up for the Cyber Daily from Recorded Future News. It serves up the day's most interesting and important cyber stories from our sister publication, The Record, and then aggregates all of the big cyber stories you might have missed from news outlets around the world. Just go to therecord.media and click on Cyber Daily to get all you need to know about the world of cybersecurity right in your inbox.